So here we are at Biosphere 2. It's the world's largest enclosed Earth system laboratory. Inside the glass of Biosphere 2, we study all these different ecosystems around the world, rainforests and oceans and deserts and savannas. And then outside the glass, it's one of the 3 places where we're doing this agrivoltaics work, where we're growing food in the shade of solar overhead. So we first had this idea of growing crops in the shade of solar panels. People said, "You're crazy, that'll never work." And that's part of where I took that inspiration from our natural savannas. Looking at those plants growing out in the wild in the shade of other trees, we thought, could the solar panels provide that canopy like a mesquite tree, but without competing for water? So we thought when we came up with this idea, we need a phrase for it. And we came up with the idea of agrivoltaics. And it's simply the first part of the word agriculture and the second part of the word photovoltaics, which is that renewable energy that's stacked overhead. Hey Kai, how's it going?
Going well. Ready to plant some Bok Choy.
Nice, let's do it.
So,
that's a cute little seed.
Little round seeds, and we're gonna do, we'll do a couple per hole, 1/4 inch deep, and we'll do 1 line today, and then 1 more line each month for the rest of the year.
So part of the reason we're so excited about this idea of agrivoltaics is it solves several of the major climate pressures, and it also helps us meet what the United Nations calls several sustainable development goals. So in terms of environmental pressures, it helps us deal with those heat waves and those really stressful temperatures that are becoming more pronounced, because the plants are in the shade of a solar panel. So it's like they've got a little umbrella over them during the hot part of the day. It helps us deal with water stress, because anybody knows if you spill your water in the shade versus the sun, where does it stay wet longer? We've shown you can produce equal amounts of food with half as much water. From the energy sector, most people don't realize that solar panels actually overheat. You know, anytime you're above about 75 degrees Fahrenheit and it's sunny, your panels are underperforming because they just get too hot. So if we can cool them down, you can make them more efficient. So the crops underneath and the transpirational water loss from those crops is actually cooling down those solar panels. So it's really it sounds like a kind of a complicated system, but each one of those principles individually is really simple. And I think that's what's helping us talk about this work to farmers and politicians.
So we know that there are some kind of larger environmental or structural factors that will shape how solar developers make decisions or how farmers make decisions. So for sure, water is number one. I mean, we see what's happening with shortage on the Colorado River, and we can see the impacts, especially in central Arizona, to the farming community. So we see a lot of potential with agrivoltaics to kind of help lead to greater economic well-being, provide enhanced resilience for farmers in terms of food production, hopefully lead to more renewable energy production, less water. So as a kind of transition here for us in our community, it has great potential. And what we want to understand are the human elements and how people make decisions to adopt technologies like agrivoltaics.
That's part of why we're building out a national portfolio of agrivoltaics projects, to understand by region, by climate space, what do you get and what do you give up, and just inform the people who are making those decisions. In all of these different aspects of science, we've been talking about how we're building on really simple principles. And we like to stress that with the kids that we work with, we're basically doing grown-up versions of science fair projects. The kids are doing the same science that we're doing at their schools. They're learning the same lessons, they're making the same kinds of observations.
Are there any ideas that anybody would like to share? In the agrivoltaics garden, I like to tell the kids, we are all scientists here, and so we're learning how to be scientists. So that includes using rulers to measure plants. We've talked about what differences do you see between the plants in the shade or the plants in the sun. And we talk about, okay, what kind of difference are the solar panels making?
That's a beautiful broccoli. You should be so proud of that.
Today we did a phenology class, so looking at what life cycle the plants are in.
I never noticed that. Look.
Every day there's something new to see. There's something that's growing that wasn't there before. I'm just really glad that the kids have this opportunity. Like, I would have loved to have a garden like this. So I think just having a garden like this influences them in more ways than we could ever know.
And that's the magic of working with kids. They're inherently curious. They're inherently good problem solvers. They're going to be the ones that are facing these biggest challenges in terms of energy production and water security and food security. So let's get them started early in terms of trying to solve those problems.
Okay, looks like, are we all finished?
When people ask, how does it scale up? How does this grow? I don't expect to see every farm in the country covered with solar panels. We're only talking about converting a small percentage of current farms to an agrivoltaic system to have, entire impacts across our country. I want my kids to be able to ask me, you knew that the world was changing in negative ways. What did you do about it? I can say that I devoted most of my career towards trying to figure out a more resilient food system.
Agrivoltaics is like, ground zero for thinking about ways that we can think about and understand trade-offs between food, energy, and water. And so, intellectually, in terms of how we manage resources, it's just really fertile ground and exciting to think about this new technology and this new innovation in this kind of more integrated, holistic way.